So question 2, list out 5 fundamental components of a computer. Provide one example for each component in the computer system. Let's look at the categories first. Okay, you have input device to for you to send your messages, your signals, for you to interact with the computer system. And the output device, they are means for the computer to talk to you. Once it has processed some data, it will project onto the screen, it can be manifested as sound. Okay, so these are the devices for computers to give you some feedback, basically. And then system unit, they are the core processing and the memory locations. Okay, and then storage device, once you have already processed it, you want to store somewhere as a permanent location so that you can retrieve the data from there. Once you see the difference between there's a difference between this memory here and the hard disk here. We'll talk about it later. Okay, so communication device. This category is basically for your computer to be identified on a network and for your local network to communicate on a larger internet. Okay, now let's talk about input devices. You have a traditional one, mouse and keyboard, and nowadays with the advent of handphones, you have stylus, okay, little pens to interact with your handphone, and touch screens or smartphones, your pressure sensitive screens. It will be able to detect which place you have touched on the screen. So nowadays you have not just handphone but laptops. Some of the laptops, they also have this ability, these touch screens. GPS is to continuously receive signal from satellite systems to locate where you are on Earth. You have accelerometer and gyroscope on a handphone as well to check the orientation of your phone and to see how fast you are shaking. Okay, especially for games that require shaking motions to detect the force of your shake. Right, now output device. Okay, projecting images onto the outside world after it has processed. So computers basically have monitor screens, and nowadays you have TVs you can connect via HDMI, and then you have projectors. You can also print whatever documents you have already processed, and for games and home entertainment media, you have Dolby sound, right? Surround speakers, basically. Okay, system units is the core processing unit. Alright, you'll have processor and the memory. Now the memory over here is the immediate temporary memory that is inside of your computer. Then it doesn't refer to your storage devices. You see, storage devices, they are permanent memory locations. After you have restarted your computer, everything inside your temporal memory is going to be flushed out. Think of this as a short-term memory and this as a long-term memory, where after restarts you can still pertain your memory inside. And these are especially important for backups, okay, backup tapes especially. For production systems, usually you will have a daily backup. Your database will be copied and stored somewhere in case of the need to revive certain versions, certain copies of your backups. You have it in place. Okay, So these are important for production system because sometimes you have power outages, unintended disaster recovery. This is the place you recover from. Okay, because our computers, after they have been restarted or once the operating system has released all this memory, it is no longer be traceable. Okay, so you need some place to persist your memory, and it will persist in the form of a storage device. Then of course, computer nowadays it has become a necessity for them to be able to communicate with other devices. Okay, so for your computing device, each of them will have your address. Okay, to identify itself, your IP address. So that is done via a network card. Okay, your IP address, and the router imagine this as a local local postman. Okay, so it will identify your computing device via the network card, okay, via your IP address, and it will send all the packages meant for this IP address. So it will receive, routers will receive data from modem and to modem. So this device will convert your data to electrical signals or light signals, depending on which mode you're on. You're on fiber optics, then you'll be light. If you're on a regular cable, telephony cable, then it will be electrical signals. Okay, and you need to have a device to convert from from your data to the signals. Okay, to convert them into their proper transmission modes. Okay, so that is for a fundamental components of a computer.